Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode number 13. Lucky number 13.
Lucky 13.
Lucky 13. And what a great 13th episode this is. I'm Chris Creamer, joined as always by the pretty good Paul Caputo. I was trying to think of an alliteration nickname for you, and that's all I came up with.
I thought I had been downgraded.
Pretty good.
Like, there's not been a lot of minor league baseball to write about. I haven't really been contributing to the site that much. I'm pretty good, I guess.
We'll come up with a better one by the end of this episode because I don't feel good about that. I feel like I'm underselling you a little bit. But here's our rundown. We got a good show for you because we have in Major League Baseball, they just announced like an hour ago, based on the time of this recording, that they will be going all out for the United States' semiquincentennial 250th anniversary in July. They're also going to do some fun things for the All-Star game around that. We're going to talk a little bit of the Memorial Day poppies that they wore on, Memorial Day. In the NHL, we have new logos for the Stadium Series and the Winter Classic coming up next season. In the NBA, we have an interesting little teaser that was dropped by the Houston Rockets just moments ago. Moving on to minor league hockey, we got a brand new expansion team in the ECHL, the Augusta Lynx. Get it? They just unveiled their name and logo. And in the AHL, this mystery team appeared out of nowhere, the Hamilton Hammers. We will bring them up. Paul, of course, is going to spin us around the minor league world for his minor league minute later on. And I will share with you where I was back in January of 1996 for a very special NBA basketball game. Mr. Caputo.
Chris, is all of this minor league hockey going to cut into my minor league minute? The minor league minute's just baseball, right?
We haven't really, we haven't really determined that. We need to put it in the charter.
Yeah.
I think you're safe on this one.
Okay.
Whether you're safe or not, I am going to give you a free pass on this. And depending on how you act the rest of this episode, I may or may not deduct time from future episodes.
I'll be on my best behavior, Chris, because I don't want to if I talk about minor league baseball for like 3 minutes, that's like almost a month's worth of minor league baseball that I can't talk about anymore. So I will watch myself.
That's right. So, I will give you the option in the future if you do want to, allocate future minor league minutes, a big long 2-3 minute long minor league double minute. Well, we'll talk about that. We'll see what the viewers say in the comments. But
leave us a comment. We're going to get back to some more YouTube comments later on today. That'll be fun.
We are. We got some fun ones this week. Some people answering some questions we had last week. You guys are answering our questions, which is a bit of a flip on things. That's the best.
We should be paying them, Chris.
Well, they're not paying us. We're not paying them. We're getting along great. That's a good point. But so let's start off.
Yeah, the lead story.
The lead story, your nation south of my border.
Yeah.
Will be celebrating a milestone anniversary this summer coming up. I guess they're celebrating it right now. It's a year-long celebration.
All year long. The semiquincentennial, Chris. It's a word I learned how to spell. Not because of America, but because of minor league baseball. Semiquincentennial.
Well,
half of a 500th anniversary is what that word literally means.
Is it really?
Semi.
It makes sense. Yeah.
Quincentennial. Yep. Semi is half. Quin is 5. Centennial is 100. So half of 5 100s. Chris,
unsurprisingly, Major League Baseball is not using the word semi-quinten whatever on their patch. They're actually going with a very nice, I would say it's a pretty decent looking patch, a 250 with the red, white, and blue. It's got a bit of a stars and stripes feel to it. It feels very patriotic. It feels very, it's not over the top patriotic, which your nation is sometimes known to do.
Who, us? Well, I'm going to get a flag of this for my pickup truck, Chris. So it's got to fit in.
Okay. Well,
make sure it fits around the gun rack out there. But it'll be.
I have a feeling you're being the words
I am being
today
semi-quincentennial. I am being facetious here, Chris. It's
facetious. That's not the word I was going to say, but
not the word. Celebrating America's 250th. They chose celebrating, Chris. They're celebrating the 250th, celebrating America's 250th, rather than a lot of people are going with commemorating America's 250th. But you're right. They decided to forego trying to spell semi-quincentennial. They just went 250th, which honestly makes for a much better logo. Let's be honest.
I think the now that we have brought up that very long word that I'm not going to try to say again, I have a feeling the Baltimore Orioles wore a patch celebrating the Star Spangled Banners,
Hmm.
semi-quincentennial. I remember the
Hmm.
word on a patch before. It was one of
Yeah.
the first logos I tried to digitally recreate for the website way back when, which means that that logo itself, the creation of that logo is now celebrating a milestone anniversary. It's about 30 years old now. So
Yeah. I realize I'm eating into my own minor league baseball time here, but just this year, the Somerset Patriots in New Jersey unveiled that they will be playing as the Somerset semi-quincentennials
oh man.
for at least one game. And their logo has 19 stars on it because there are 19 letters in the word semi-quincentennials.
Not because there's 19 states or anything like that.
No, no, no. It's the number of letters in semi-quincentennials.
Now, how do you fit that on the front of a jersey?
The way you see how they did that, Chris, is to go to a November 17, 2025 article on SportsLogos.Net about the Somerset semi-quincentennials.
Never heard of it. Uh, going
You
back
don't
to
read
USA
every
250,
article that I post?
there's so many articles today, Paul.
It's true.
So another thing they're doing this year, instead of just the patch, is they're also wearing some special stars and stripes designed numbers for the games on the 4th of July, as well as during the Home Run Derby in your hometown of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. They haven't shared a photo of what this looks like yet. Unfortunately, we don't know, how this looks. I don't know if every team's going to be wearing their standard font for the numbers, if it's just going to be red, white, and blue, or if they'll do like Jackie Robinson Day and all wear like the similar block font. I also don't know if my non-US based Toronto Blue Jays are wearing the red, white, and blue numbers. I know they're wearing the USA 250 patch, but I don't know if they're doing the patriotic US numbers. So a lot of questions left to be answered here.
May I
Yeah.
interject with a font, a baseball font thing? I
Mhm.
mean, this feels like the podcast for it. The Philadelphia Phillies font, actually, it's a custom font, proprietary custom font owned by the Phillies. It's called Script Wurst. Wurst, WURST, like sausage. It's like sausage font, is what that means. And I really would love to see that stars and stripes pattern in the Phillies script Wurst. It's like a great, like rounded sans serif. It's beautiful.
It would be the perfect font for it too.
It would be the birthplace of our nation, Philadelphia. Everyone is trying to do everything in Philadelphia this year because we have all the founding documents, the founding fathers, everything happened in Philadelphia.
It sounds like a perfect time to avoid the entire city, just as someone who doesn't like a lot of people.
And
And
yet you're going to be there
while we're discussing it, yeah.
working on it. Okay.
The
And we
league has
met it.
asked me to come down. The league said, "Hey, Chris, come on down." So
Send me in your place if you can't make it.
that's an idea.
Yeah. That would be something.
You know what I'd really love to do, Paul, and I'm just throwing this off the top of my head right now, is like if we could
Sure.
do like a live in-person podcast at the All-Star game, like that would be amazing.
This is what I'm talking about. You, me, Kyle Schwarber.
Kyle Schwarber. We can get Vlad. We can get Vladdy
He
in there.
could he could hang out. He could talk to us for sure. Let's
He
all
he
right,
was
let's
involved in the design of the City Connect uniform, so he'd be a good person to talk to.
he's a designer himself, basically.
He is. He's a designer, absolutely.
All
Uh,
right. I'm loving all these ideas, Chris. I derailed you though. I'm sorry. So what else are they doing here?
well, that's about it, really.
Okay,
I mean,
that's
I
it.
kind of covered it. They're going to do every year they do the Independence Day caps where it's
Oh
red,
yeah.
white, and blue themed.
Right.
That's not hasn't been released yet either, so we don't quite know what that looks like. I've been told
Yeah.
the Blue Jays are going to wear like a red and white version of that instead of red, white, and blue. That's
Okay.
kind of what they do every year anyway.
Yeah.
But
And
MLB did do something just earlier this week that I thought was very classy. They've been doing it since 2019 now, and that is the wearing of poppies for
yeah,
Memorial Day. And as far as I know, Paul, this isn't really a thing that's too commonplace in the United States, but
right.
it is what is recommended to be worn to commemorate those on Memorial Day. Do you know
Yeah.
much about poppies on your side of the border there?
You know, I what I know about them is honestly because of Major League Baseball, right? Like the fact that we're wearing poppies on uniforms, which, as you point out, I thought they looked great, right? Like they were not that
Mhm.
intrusive, and it was something that could be incorporated into existing uniforms. I think it's so much better though than like the camo that they would often wear, the fatigue style uniforms. these poppies I think were much more appropriate and made a lot more sense to me as something that we would do on Memorial Day. So I thought, hats off to MLB. I think they did a great job.
Fantastic. And I am going to pretend that they listened to me because that was something I pointed out to them a decade ago when I had their ear. I said, I think it's the American Legion is the one who's kind of steering people towards celebrating Memorial Day in a respectful way.
Yep.
I said they're recommending you guys wear a poppy instead of, dressing up like soldiers. So Memorial Day, for those who aren't familiar with it, I believe is to honor those who lost their lives,
Yes.
whereas Armed Forces Day is more to honor everyone who was a member of the military, including those
Right.
actively in the military. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes, that's right.
Right. So
Yeah.
this feels like a very appropriate way that they're doing this. Armed Forces Weekend, let's put on the camo. Memorial Day, let's wear the poppy. Let's be a little more respectful and mournful to those who have lost their lives. Yeah, as a non-American, I feel like that's the way to do it, and
Yeah.
I haven't heard a lot of people complain about it. They seem to
No.
like this new way. Yeah.
Yeah. And, Memorial Day sometimes I think we'll get a little bit conflated with the 4th of July, right? Like it's an excuse to have a cookout and, have burgers and drink beer. But, I think it's appropriate for Major League Baseball the way they had a much less flamboyant, a much less flashy patch to commemorate Memorial Day than what they're doing, for the 4th of July, right? Like, and especially this year on the 250th with the 4th of July with that's the one where you just go all out with the airbrushed bald eagles and the
What we
what
need is the
else?
pillbox caps to come back, like they did in
That's what we need.
1976. Come
They'll
on.
just wear them like that. That was our uniform back in '76. So, I'm anxious to see what they are going to do for the 4th of July, and obviously you'll have it on the site as soon as it does happen. So, they're showing perhaps an unusual amount of restraint because
Hmm.
I'll tell you the other thing. I mean, there's lots of reasons I don't like them, as you say, dressing up like soldiers and wearing the fatigues, right? The other thing that I don't really love, just because it's like difficult for my brain to parse, is when they try to integrate the stars and stripes into the form, like they use the logo as the frame for the stars and stripes. Like it just, the flag is already complicated enough visually with 50
Hmm.
stars and 13 stripes that like putting the interlocking CR of the Colorado Rockies over that and trying to make my brain process that. I don't like when they do that, and I kind of hope they don't do it again. I hope they
Well,
find another way to make that happen.
well, this is going to go back to our conversation last week, whereas, now you're going to have 30 teams all in the same color scheme and all
Yeah,
looking the same. And
yeah. And some Joker Rockies fan's gonna buy a red hat for the 4th of July, and he's gonna wear it to a game against the Phillies, and I'm gonna get all confused.
some Joker fan. I like how it's like he's doing this just to taunt you.
He is. I'm going to walk up to him and offer him a Wawa soft pretzel, and he's going to be like, "No, no, no. I'm sorry. I'm not from there."
He's going to say, sorry, I need a glass of water.
Yeah,
Um,
give me some water and a hoagie.
Give me some water and a hoogie. Get some water in this joint.
Hey, Chris, you're going to fit right in when you make it down there for the All Star game. It's going to be
I've
amazing.
spent far too much time in Philadelphia.
Chris,
Moving on, right?
yeah,
Yeah, we got to move on here. You and I, we could talk about July 4th patches all day, I feel like.
let's talk
But
about the
we have,
NHL. It's
let's talk about the
summertime.
NHL.
It's
Yes.
baseball season. Let's talk about winter in the NHL here. We got new logos for the Winter Classic and the Stadium Series in the hockiest of all places, Arlington, for the Stadium Series, and then of course the Winter Classic in Utah.
Yeah, so these outdoor games for the NHL coming up, the Winter Classic has always been like their traditional game. Let's
Yeah.
go back in time. Let's wear uniforms that are designed after the hockey history of each of these markets. And it's kind of a good excuse to look back and really celebrate the origins of hockey in different markets.
Hmm.
Last year it was in South Florida, and you would think, where's the hockey heritage there? But they found like a tropical, I think it was called the Tropical Hockey League or the something like that from the 1930s, and they used uniform elements from this otherwise completely forgotten league
Huh.
suddenly now thrust onto the highest possible stage in hockey. So we're going to see that this year in Utah, or next year, I guess, next season.
Yeah.
Utah is playing Colorado for that game, two
Okay.
mountain cities with very mountainy themed uniforms and logos.
Okay.
They're going to play where I believe the University of Utah plays.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with college stadiums. Whereas the other one, the Stadium Series, is where things get a little futuristic. We look at the future of the game. We don't really conform to anything when it comes to uniform design. Forget about any sort of tradition. We're going to make numbers gigantic, and we're going to have stripes everywhere. And if we could do it, we're going to have flashing lights on the uniforms, helmets with sirens on the top. Let's go.
Nice.
But this one's going to be played in Arlington in
Yeah.
Jerry's World, where the Cowboys play, in a stadium that I believe has a roof,
I was
which
like,
is
is Jerry's World a new Six Flags? What am I missing here?
is that not a nickname for the stadium?
Did you make that
I don't
up? Is
know.
it?
I've
Okay.
heard it somewhere. I've
Oh,
heard...
that's funny. Okay. And I
uh,
like that logo pays tribute to, of course, the Minnesota North Stars.
that's exactly what it's doing. Yeah, it's not the Dallas Cowboys. It's not the Dallas Stars. The big giant silver star in the background,
No, no, no. It's the Minnesota North Stars, I'm sure.
who weren't even invited to the game.
Come on, guys.
They're playing Las Vegas.
So you've been to a Winter Classic game.
I've been to some outdoor hockey games. It technically wasn't a winter classic.
Okay.
I've been to the Centennial Classic, which
Oh,
was in Toronto on New Year's Day 2017 to celebrate the beginning of the NHL's 100th anniversary year.
okay.
And I went to the Heritage Classic in 2022 in Hamilton,
Oh,
where the Leafs played the Sabres, and it rained, which was lovely.
Hamilton, home of the brand new Hammers?
Yes, the Hammers, wherever they came from, I
Wherever
don't know.
those
They
guys
just
came
appeared
from.
on.
Yeah.
It, yeah.
Were these games they weren't at baseball stadiums then?
No, they were both at. Well, the one in Toronto was a soccer stadium that got turned into a soccer football stadium.
Okay.
Actually, on the location where Exhibition Stadium used to be, where the Jays
Yeah.
played.
Yeah.
And then the one in Hamilton was at their brand new football stadium. But
Okay.
both fairly small venues, right, compared to
Yeah.
what they use in the US. Like these are like 30,000 seat stadiums,
Right.
very open, not at all what they experience in these giant stadiums in the US for these outdoor games. I'm just
Yeah.
going to say that I was miserable at both games. I'm not, yeah, I am Canadian, but I don't like sitting out in the cold. I don't like and the sight lines are terrible, right? Like the arena is tiny. It's like let's take the nice, friendly, built specifically for a hockey stadium, and then forget about that, and let's put the rink right in the middle of a field. Let's not put any seats anywhere near that rink. Let's put a big like 20-yard gap between the seats and the rink,
All
and
right.
then you can sit way back, and then you can't see anything and you can't hear anything, and you just once the pump has gone, you're
Yeah.
just now okay. I'm just watching a game, but now I can't see anything, and I'm cold and I can't move.
Yeah.
My beer is freezing. This isn't fun, and I'm just sort of okay. When
Yeah.
intermission comes, I'm not going to be able to move. I can't go to the washroom. Yeah, I
You're
ended up leaving. I ended up leaving early in 2022
oh.
because I was just miserable.
So you're getting at what I was going to ask about, which was I have been to one Stadium Series game years ago. It was in Colorado. It was at Coors Field. I was invited by Bill Frederick, which I really appreciated. Bill Frederick, the noted sports designer, and he was doing some work for the NHL. And we were sitting down like the first baseline. And I like live hockey. Like I'm not the world's biggest hockey fan. I don't follow it super closely, but I really enjoy live hockey. And I could not see a thing, and I could not follow this game. And I think people really enjoyed it, right? Like they were playing Detroit,
Mm.
I think, and people enjoyed it because it was unique. But like, guess what? Baseball stadiums are not made for watching hockey. It's
Who
and
knew?
yeah, yeah, it was and it was cold. I feel terrible about this. I had a cold, and I like I'm sure Bill like saw me get there like I'm all stuffed up, and he's like, oh God, what did I just do? I invited this guy to come sit next to me at this game for the whole time. I was like, thank Bill for the tickets.
He hasn't
Uh,
invited you back since, has he?
I have not been to another Stadium
There you
Series
go.
game with Bill Frederick, but it was certainly interesting, and I liked it was the off season for baseball, so I liked being in a baseball stadium. I also saw Billy Joel at Coors Field, so I've seen two
There you
non-baseball
go.
things there.
Well, this is going to lead. This is a teaser to my "Where were you?" because it's going to
Oh,
involve seeing a basketball game at the Sky Dome, which is not what
okay.
you'd expect to see there. A
Yeah.
little bit of a teaser for all you whoever, "Where were you?" fans.
The Where Were You fans. Um,
So yeah, let's wrap up this Winter Classic Stadium
yeah,
Series thing. The logos, the Stadium Series logo is very much looks like a great logo for a Dallas Cowboys hosted All-Star game.
yeah.
It really has nothing to do with the NHL aside from the
Oh,
NHL shield on it.
yeah.
It's a silver star with AT&T Stadium in the background.
It's
Um,
complete. There's a lot of detail in that logo, right? Like it was,
well, it's a very detailed stadium.
that's true. I guess that's true. Okay, good point. Whereas in Utah, the mountains are a little less detailed.
Yeah, and I like what they did here. Like they paid
Yeah,
tribute to both parts of Utah, right? Like the
yeah,
mountainous parts and the Red Rock Desert area of
yeah.
the south, I guess, in Utah.
Hmm.
And what I really like is that the crossbar on the T in winter is a mammoth tusk. Or it's not. Oh, sorry, it's not the crossbar on the T. It's the curl on the W. Let's be clear about that. Or
Well,
is there
it's also, I
multiple
think,
tusks?
yeah, I think that horizontal cross stroke on the T is a tusk, and then yeah, and then there's a serif on the W that looks like it's a tusk as well.
Can I just quickly throw out there, Paul, that nobody, I'm getting excited about this. Nobody can template an event logo like the NHL. Look at if you're at my site now and anyone else is listening to this gets a chance, check out the NHL Winter Classic logo history section on SportsLogos.Net. You will see that that is a templated logo system, and they have nailed it because it
Wow.
does not feel like a templated logo system. But if
Yeah,
you look at it, every single logo has the exact same typeface, sort of
yeah.
follows the same guideline, but it feels like a unique logo every single year. And
Right, right,
that,
right.
my friend, is how you template a logo. It
I'm
doesn't
looking
feel
at it
like the
right
same
now.
boring logo every year. That
Yeah.
they first nailed it with the NHL draft logo. They did that about 20 years earlier where they worked in a template and it looked pretty good every year. And they've transferred that over to the Winter Classic. Kudos to the NHL and its designers. And I'm just going to assume that your friend Bill Frederick played some part in that as well, probably. So kudos to
Uh,
Bill. Whether you did it or not, Bill, I'm just going to throw you kudos because you also invited me to my outdoor hockey game. So thank you.
I'm looking at it. You have logos going back to 2008 in this graphic that you prepared in the article. And
Mhm.
yeah, like minor tweaks to the W in winter and that sort of script font over the years to sort of make it fit in with the overall aesthetic. But then yeah, classic. And then of course the sponsor has changed from Bridgestone to Discover over the years as well. So they had to make that change in 2021. That's when that changed. So I think it's a sharp logo, and just like Utah in general is sort of visually appealing. And like you say, they've got
Mhm.
like the sort of arches and Canyonland, red rocks down in the bottom part, and then they've got the mountains. I have a funny design story, not related to sports, regarding Utah. Many years ago, decades ago, in fact, a design firm in New York City was preparing a guide for tourism in Utah, and they were just like, all mountains look alike. And they used a really fantastic photo of a mountain in Colorado to promote skiing in Utah, and
Ooh.
it was a huge scandal.
Ha That is not
uh,
how you design people.
that is not how you design, is right.
Of
Chris.
course, now they would just AI generate a mountain
Oh,
and
for
it wouldn't be
Christ's
a
sake.
mountain that exists anywhere.
All right, Chris. We've talked about Major League Baseball. We've talked about the NHL. Let's talk about the NBA, the Houston
Mhm.
Rockets. What do we know right now that we can share on the podcast, and when are we going to know more?
Well, they just like, I don't know, half an hour ago, they tweeted out this sort of mysterious graphic that shows
Hmm.
players, is silhouetted players with a yellow circle behind them, I guess a yellow spotlight.
Okay.
Now, I'm no Nostradamus or anything here,
Yeah.
but what I do know is that when a team posts a cryptic photo, like with the eyeballs emoji or something like that, and the silhouette of a player or the silhouette of anything, it means a new
Wait,
uniform. New
New
logo,
uniform
new
coming.
something. Yes, something new is coming. We're on to you, Rockets. We know something new's coming. And the fact that they used yellow in the background, I noticed some of the commenters have pointed this out, and I think they're right. That yellow in the background, I think, means they're going to bring yellow back to this color scheme, which was a huge part of the Rockets' look when they won back-to-back NBA titles in the mid 1990s.
It once again, we're relying on uniform design and logos to bring luck to a franchise to bring championships back.
Now, you like the Rockets are one of the good examples of this because they won back-to-back titles. They won in 94, they beat the Knicks. They won again in 95, they beat the Magic, and they changed their logo, their uniform, their colors.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? Don't
Yeah.
mess with that.
Right. It's
And
such a
they
classic
haven't,
look.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it was, yes, it was dated by the mid 90s. We
Yeah.
didn't really sometimes you have to lose something to love something, Paul.
It's
And
true.
sometimes that's what you have to do with a classic identity, right?
Yeah.
In the mid 90s, a lot of these logos and uniforms that we now consider classic or untouchable, they were just considered old,
Yeah.
stale, dated. It's time for
Right.
something new.
Yeah.
And a lot of teams, especially in the NBA, Major League Baseball, the NHL, basically all of them, NFL too, teams were coming out with these really out there, fresh, I'm going to use some buzzwords,
Yeah.
fresh, clean, modern designs now that digital design was a thing. And, tradition suddenly wasn't that important. It was more, let's create something that was a little more fresh. Merchandising was now exploding in the early mid 90s. So a team like the Rockets, that it was a basketball, right? It's a yellow and red basketball with Rockets. That is not going to move merchandise outside of Houston.
Yeah.
So I get why they felt the change was needed, but the timing of it was just horrible. You
Yeah.
were winning back-to-back championships. You don't have to worry about the quality of your logo. You are going to move merchandise regardless. You have, a star player in Hakeem Olajuwon. He's going to sell jerseys. They changed the logo, the uniforms, the colors, everything. They haven't been back to the NBA Finals since. It's been 30 years. Paul, the Rockets haven't been back. What do you think? Is there anything to this luck? The Penguins did the same thing.
Absolutely. Now, do we know, did the New York Knicks make any changes recently that would have brought them back to the NBA final? If maybe there is something to it if the Knicks have changed something recently.
The Knicks have played with their colors, but they've kept the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping that the Rockets might adopt something based on the new Tennessee Titans logos.
Oh, now wouldn't that be hilarious?
That's a
Right. Now
joke that I
you
wouldn't have been able to make like a month ago, Chris. This podcast has really educated me on a lot of things.
That's also a joke that nobody but the people listening to this podcast is going to get. So, like, you have
That's
a nice captive audience here.
There's like 12 people out there laughing at that joke right now.
Ha! Titans, Houston, I get it.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what that is. It's one of those things that when it comes out, like when we actually see it, if it is the yellow basketball with the red circle around it, it's going to feel like it was never gone, right? Like it's going to feel like an old
Mhm.
friend that was never gone because it's I'm looking at it now on my screen and I'm like, yeah, that's the Rockets logo. Like what gives? Like what's the big deal here? So, but again, it's nostalgia, right? Like nostalgia is a toxic
Mhm.
impulse, and why are we going back to this thing that's old but not very good? I feel this way. I don't know about not very good. I shouldn't have said that. Why are we going
Mhm.
back to this thing that is old and like its main redeeming quality seems to be that it is old? And I have kind of similar feelings about the Seattle Supersonics logo, which I don't know from looking whether it is objectively a good logo, but man, I love it because I just have this nostalgia for it, and if I see it on a T-shirt that fits, I'm gonna buy it. And one time I was in Seattle and I saw it on a shirt and I bought it, and that shirt doesn't fit me anymore. So
Oh.
yeah, but guess what? That shirt is too big rather than too small. So
Oh.
that's
Well,
the
that's
good
much
news.
better. That's the complete opposite problem that I have with all of my shirts, which are now being passed down to my
Ah, yeah.
increasingly getting larger son, who is now just about taller than I am.
All right, Chris. So now we've talked about Major League Baseball, we've talked about the NHL, and we've talked about the NBA. So what's left? Minor league hockey, of course. Minor league hockey. That's the
Of
last thing
course.
remaining of the big four: Major League Baseball, NHL, NBA, and minor league hockey. That's the big four. We have an ECHL expansion team in Augusta, Georgia. Chris, one of my favorite facts about the ECHL, and we've maybe even discussed this already on the podcast. It doesn't stand for anything.
No.
It's just ECHL.
ECHL. Well, now of course there's a reason for this.
Uh-huh.
We'll
Uh-huh.
tell the people, right? ECHL used to stand for East Coast Hockey League.
We had a team in Richmond, Virginia when I was in school there, the Richmond Renegades. But then as that league started expanding more and more west, it became less and less East Coast. And so rather than rebranding or renaming and coming up with a new acronym, they just said, okay, we're just ECHL. It doesn't stand for anything.
Yeah, so well, like they absorbed the WCHL or which was the West Coast Hockey League.
Right.
And
Yeah,
at
they
the
had
time we
teams in
kind of
like,
joked, yeah, there was a team in Alaska,
yeah, yeah,
right?
exactly.
The ultimate East Coast, Alaska.
Right.
Alaska has an East Coast, right? Like it
It's
tips
true.
over past the date
That's
line, maybe. I don't know.
absolutely.
Now, at the time, we joked that EC could stand for entire continent, the entire
Oh,
continent
see,
hockey league. Yeah.
they should have gone to you for this one, Chris. That would have that would have worked.
Now,
But the
I was doing updates the other day on another minor hockey league in the US, the SPHL,
oh,
which I always thought was the Southern Professional Hockey League, and I found out they also got rid of what their league stood for and is now just the SPHL, which is
oh,
the
the syphil.
SIFL, because
Uh,
they expanded beyond the Southern United States.
huh.
So this is a growing trend. What
Yeah,
other leagues are going to get rid of what they stand for? I don't know.
the team that is the most syphil is the syphilist. No, are we cutting that out? Chris, you still there?
No,
Are you?
no, we're leaving it in. You are going to own that one.
I'm sorry. I
Do
apologize,
not
everyone.
hide from that. Don't hide from your shame, Paul.
All right, this team though, they're the Augusta Lynx, and of course, I looked at
Mhm.
it and I thought, wow, that looks like the Lynchburg Hillcats,
Of
and
course.
right because it's what I do. Everything looks like
Yep.
something from minor league baseball. But this Augusta Lynx, it's green and yellow. And Lynx, you referenced it as you were introducing the whole podcast episode here.
Mm.
Lynx, Lynx, it is a cat, a wild cat. But Lynx is a little reference, a little wink and a nod to a certain golf tournament that happens in Augusta, Georgia.
Now, since you immediately look at any logo and associate with minor league baseball, I have a new nickname for you that works with the
Oh,
alliteration we talked about. You could be Poison Brain Paul. You have a poison brain.
Poison Brain.
Poison Brain Paul.
I
Steering
don't
us
know
back
if
on topic.
I did. I have compared pretty much everything to a minor league baseball logo so far in this episode,
That's right.
right? So
That's what I'm
yeah.
saying. Your brain is poisoned by minor league baseball in a good way.
Okay. Okay. Positive poison. Positive
Okay,
poison, Paul.
positive poison. Positive poison, Paul. What are we talking about? The Augusta
We're
Lynx. You know,
this Lynx.
it's not bad. You know, I like that they went back. So the Augusta Lynx, let's point out that this was the name of Augusta's ECHL team back, 15, 20 years ago. More than that.
Yeah.
Wow. 20 to 30 years ago. I
Wow.
forgot what year we were in. So from 98 to 2008, Augusta had a team in the ECHL called the Augusta Lynx, again, based off of the Masters that takes place in Augusta. That is your golf content on this podcast. The logo is green and gold. That matches the colors of
Yeah.
Augusta and all that fun stuff. The logo's fine. It's made by the Barn Creative, who have done, I think they've done a few
Yeah.
minor league baseball logos,
Nick
Paul.
Matarisi with the Barn Creative. They did the Wilmington Blue Rocks is one of my favorites. They did the Billings Mustangs, and
Oh,
Nick's a good guy, based in Wilmington, Delaware.
there you go. Here's
Yeah.
something I didn't know. The original Augusta Lynx played in the James Brown Arena.
It's too hot.
It's too hot. It's too hot for
Yeah.
hockey. They feel good.
Yeah.
They moved in 2008, and the original team had a black and blue color scheme, which seems to have nothing to do with the golf course in town. Maybe it was a copyright thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
But this feels a lot more appropriate for the overall theme they're going for. There doesn't seem to be a golf club in the logo in any
Right.
place, but
Yeah. Or a
yeah,
hockey
it's
stick.
clearly or a hockey stick, right? So it really
Yeah.
could be a logo that represents any sport, and including a baseball team in Lynchburg. So
Right.
as you were saying.
There is a baseball team in Augusta, Georgia. They're the Augusta Green Jackets, and their logo is like a little bee, like a yellow jacket but a green jacket.
which is again a play on the whole golf thing there. They got a thing going on in Augusta.
They definitely do. Chris, we have one other minor league hockey story here to mention that this new minor league hockey team was conjured out of nowhere. The
Hmm.
Hamilton Hammers, just who knows? There's no way to know where they came from, but the
Well,
Hamilton
this is
Hammers.
so I mean, I know, maybe back 200-300 years ago, it was commonplace for things to just be appear out of nowhere, and we just
Sure.
accepted it. We called
Sorcery.
it sorcery, witchcraft, but it's a lot less common with hockey teams in the 2020s, I find. But
Yeah,
here we are, we're experiencing a team that just sort of appeared out of nowhere. They
sure.
certainly didn't relocate from Connecticut. But the Hamilton Hammers. Here's a fun fact, Paul, that only someone like me would look up. The Hamilton Hammers, affiliated with the New York Islanders, they are the first Canadian AHL team to be affiliated with an American NHL team
Wow.
since the 1995-96 Colorado Avalanche were forced into an affiliation with the Cornwall, Ontario Aces due to the relocation of the Quebec Nordiques. They didn't have a chance to relocate their minor league team, so the two of them hooked up for one season, during which the Colorado Avalanche won a Stanley Cup. So congratulations to Cornwall. And since then, we have not had an American NHL team hooked up with a Canadian AHL team. So now here we are, the Hamilton Hammers, with an American NHL affiliate.
Wow. I would not have guessed that that was the case. That's an interesting stat there for sure. How about that? The Hamilton Hammers. Do we have a visual on the Hammers yet, or are we
We
waiting on that?
do.
Oh,
And guess what? There
what's
are
that?
hammers in the logo.
Very
It
good.
actually, it really looks like a baseball logo, to be honest, if we're going to go back to baseball,
Yeah.
because they have the two hammers crossed together. They come with some pretty ridiculous branding speak for this
Yeah.
logo and how they tried to explain everything away. Like the hammers in the logo represents the resilience of our city, and the knobs of the hammers represent the iconic puck in the New York Islanders logo. They just look like the knobs of hammers. Um, to be honest, they look more like baseball bats than they do
Uh,
anything. That's why it
Interesting.
looks like two crossed baseball bats, except they're two
Uh-huh.
crossed hammers. And it
Yeah.
just says Hamilton Hammers across the front. It's a very boring logo,
Yeah.
especially for a name that, like, you call a team the Hammers. You could have a really exciting, like,
Right.
action-packed logo. But this is probably as boring as you can get for a team named the Hammers.
Chris, I went to grad school for visual communications, and it's obviously a graphic design program. And my friend Guido Alvarez from Ecuador, I doubt he's listening to this right now, but he once told me, and it was not a compliment, that the worst thing a designer could be is a good talker. And what he meant by that was exactly what you're getting at here, which is like you can take boring design and come up with a really elaborate explanation for it and explain away boring or bad design decisions. So I feel like that design should speak for itself rather than having to
Absolutely.
be explained in a
You,
press
you know what?
release.
You know what logo speaks for itself? The Hartford Whalers.
The
Enough said.
Hartford Whalers is a great one.
Hmm.
Chris, we have to move on to our segments, our wrap up segments here. So I apologize. There was one
You
other
got a food
story.
truck rally to get to.
I'm going to a food truck rally. We're not going to have time for that Bridgeport Islanders story tonight, but we'll see if we can't get to that again in a future episode. We'll move that to the lead story next week. Bridgeport Islanders, we promise, or your money
Yeah,
back.
I
Um,
doubt it. I don't know. Do you want me to quickly run through some YouTube comments?
yes, let's look at some YouTube comments. Thank you, everyone, for
Okay.
commenting in all the various places.
So we had two comments from at Kilo One on last week's episode about MLB holiday uniforms. First, Kilo One points out, now you and I talked about putting a team on the moon. I can't remember how that came up. Oh, because of the elevation problems in Utah for a
Right,
baseball team?
exactly. Yeah. And then we decided there
Yes.
wasn't a big enough market on the moon.
Right. And we thought that, the atmosphere up there might be problematic.
The slider just is not going to spin in that zero atmosphere.
I'd like to try it though. The Moon Talk reminded me that turn ahead the clock told us that the Mets will end up playing on Mercury at some point.
Oh
Good
boy.
point, Kilo One. That was supposed to happen in 2021. So
Oh,
the fact that the Mets are still around 5 years later, though very firmly in last place, I don't think Mercury is going to happen anytime soon. Kilo One also points out that the Hamilton Hammers will be a decade in Ontario, and you'll still run out of time in each episode to cover them. I have no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah, what's he talking about there?
He's
Yeah,
he's he's got the Hammers mixed up with the Bridgeport Islanders, I think.
some other team, I guess. Yeah.
Um, now I'm going to EC. Okay, somebody with a name I can't pronounce. ECHL DB. I don't think it's a word. It's just letters. Okay.
Okay.
He's very helpful here and points out that last week when I talked about this French-Canadian show where they very clearly just stole the Quebec Nordiques logo and uniform for their show, I
Right.
didn't know the name of it. And our friend here points out that the name of the show was Lance et Comte, which is French for he shoots, he scores. And thank you so much, because I then immediately went back and looked up that show and watched some clips of it, and then realized it was entirely inappropriate for me to be watching at the age of 9, 10 when I was watching it. He says it was also inspired by some real life stories about the Montreal Canadiens, which I didn't know about. So that's kind of
Oh,
funny that based on the Nordiques, inspired by the Canadiens, who might make the Stanley Cup final coming up soon. So go Canada, go on that front. That's it. That's all I
I
got for
will
YouTube comments this week.
I will be rooting for them if they make it to the finals. I would love to see Montreal win a title.
It's been 33 years since we've won one up here. So at this point, even though Montreal is supposedly my team's sworn enemy, I am rooting for them. So go Montreal, go.
I actually am in a similar quandary right now for the NBA in that the New York Knicks have advanced to the obviously the championship, the final, I should say. Is it finals? One's final and one's finals. Which one's which?
NBA is finals, Stanley Cup is final.
Okay, so the NBA finals are featuring the New York Knicks. And, as a Sixers fan, I am obligated to hate the New York Knicks. But they got all these Villanova Wildcats. And I grew up watching the Villanova Wildcats. And, like, that's it's a real conundrum for me because I've got these individual players who I root for, but then I have this team. So what do I do?
I think you should root for the Knicks to lose, but those players to somehow accidentally find a ring dropped by one of the winning team's players.
Okay.
I'm going to be no help there, Paul. I have no
what
idea.
I could do is continue not watching the NBA playoffs. Now that my Sixers
that's
are
one
out.
way to solve it too. Yeah, just be blissfully unaware and do the ostrich method and just stick your head in the ground and continue enjoying some minor league baseball, which Paul takes us to our next segment. I hope you're ready.
I am ready. I learned the big sigh, by the way. I recently learned that ostriches, I learned because of minor league baseball, that ostriches do not stick their head in the sand. It's a myth. They don't do it.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you're
Isn't
just
that
doing
sad?
it for fun. You're not doing
They're
it as
just
a tribute.
Well, there's a whole story behind it, but yeah, I am sticking my head in the sand in protest of ostriches not doing that. Sorry, you were about to introduce a
Protesting Paul Caputo. That's what the
yeah.
P stands
Oh,
for.
here we go. Poison protester Paul Caputo.
Paul, it is time for your because you haven't talked about minor leagues enough today. It's time for you to have a dedicated minute where I can, drink a cup of coffee and you can talk about minor league baseball because it is the minor league minute with Poison Brain Paul Caputo.
It's the minor league minute with Paul Caputo. Paul Caputo. It's the minor league minute with Paul Caputo. Paul Caputo. It's the minor league minute with Paul Caputo.
I'm quoting all over the place here. All right, Chris, I'm going to go way back to 2016 for my minor league minute to the Hartford Yard Goats. I bring up this team a lot because people often will say, minor league baseball, they just pick names out of a hat. They don't mean anything. Guess what? These names all have great significance. A yard goat is a nickname for a specific kind of locomotive called a switching engine. And Hartford would not exist were it not for the New York, New Haven, and Hartford Railroad. Their branding is a goat. They literally took the yard goat from the railroad. They made it a goat. They took those Hartford Whalers colors, that beautiful blue and green, and then they took the typography from the old New York, New Haven, Hartford Railroad signage, and they made that into the logo. It's actually kind of brilliant. Every time someone says to me, like, oh, this minor league baseball logo is too crazy, they were saying that back in 2016 when the Yard Goats made their debut. I think they're brilliant. That's your minor league minute.
So when the Yard Goats announced their name, I thought this was the
Yeah.
most ridiculous name I'd ever heard.
Right.
And I couldn't have been more wrong after hearing the story and learning about the what a yard goat was. I thought they just stuck two words together, right? Like
Right.
yard goats. Like we're just getting ridiculous now because minor league baseball is all about what, like adjective, noun, or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, the actual story of this and the train connection and the typeface, which matches the old typeface of that. What was it? The New York, New Haven, Connecticut. I can't remember the
New
exact
York,
name
New
of the
Haven,
railway.
Hartford Railroad.
Thank you. Yeah. And the story of that is just amazing. At the time, I had led a campaign against that name. I don't know if you remember. I had really wanted them to use the name Huckleberries
Oh.
because Mark Twain had a large presence in Hartford to the point where I was in the newspaper in Hartford every day for about a week. We won the name the team poll and everything with the write-in Huckleberries. And I still think that Huckleberries would make a good alternate identity for Hartford.
Hartford Yard Goats,
But
are you listening?
yeah, come on, guys. Do a
Yeah, the
Huckleberries for at
Hartford
least.
Huckleberries.
I will throw the first pitch in a Mark Twain costume if you want. But I was wrong though because I think Yard Goats is a fantastic identity, and the team's been nothing but nice to me ever since, and
Yeah.
they have forgiven my transgressions.
Well, I think minor league baseball teams are accustomed to people reacting negatively at first to new names. It is, by the way, Brandiose is the firm that did that, and it's some of Brandios's best work, I think, in
Absolutely,
minor league
and
baseball.
it
Yeah,
survived all like 12 years now. That logo's been around with no hint of changing, so
yeah.
that's pretty darn good.
I'm going to be at my first ever Hartford Yard Goats game in August, Chris.
Great, I'll get you a Huckleberries t-shirt. You can go.
I'll see if they have them. They may be selling them there, whether they play with that identity or not. Chris,
Yes.
it's time for where were they? And in this instance, where were you on a certain date in January of a year that you mentioned earlier on this podcast that I have forgotten?
Yeah, so we've talked a lot about the NBA here. We got the finals coming up. The Knicks are in there. Sorry, Paul. So that got me thinking about some of my basketball history. And as someone who grew up in a market that did not have a basketball team until 1995-96 with the Toronto Raptors, I went back to the first time I ever went to a Toronto Raptors game, which was January 18th, 1996. I was 13 years old
Yeah.
and I had just gotten my first bank card, and they had these ticket machines in Shoppers Drug Mart locations, which is like equivalent to CVS in the US. And this was like a very early example of like a self-serve computerized kiosk. So I went and I just thought, okay, I'll get two tickets to the Chicago Bulls coming to Toronto, $5 a ticket, sitting in the 500 level, which is the upper deck of Skydome during the Raptors expansion season. It was Michael Jordan's first game in Toronto. The Bulls were 30-3 at the time of the game against my expansion Toronto Raptors. I took my dad as my plus one with tickets that I bought as a 13-year-old, bought my dad tickets to a basketball game, which he was impressed by. And what I remember was, we wanted to see Michael Jordan because he was, Michael Jordan. Even back then, he was a legend. My only real memory before the game is we're walking around the concourse looking at a store there with, my dad bought me a set of Toronto Raptors trading cards that is like his thank you for me getting him a ticket. And I remember hearing a teenage girl scream, "They're on the court! They're on the court!" really loud. And that's when the Bulls got out onto the court. And I looked out and I noted the color of Dennis Rodman's hair that day. And the Raptors actually made the game competitive. There was
Yeah.
something like 35,000 fans at the game for a basketball game, which is wild.
Wow. Yeah.
And yeah, the Raptors kept it close. They almost won. They had a last second shot for a chance to tie and they missed. But, we took the eventual NBA champions right to the buzzer. And later that season, the Raptors ended up beating the Bulls in a game. So that was our very exciting moment there. That's where I was on January 18th, 1996, where the Chicago Bulls beat the Toronto Raptors. I believe it was, Paul, I'm just going to guess, 92-89.
I'm just going to assume that that's right, Chris. I'm sure your
'cause
memory
I looked
is...
at you because you're always looking it up. I figured you had it going over there. But yeah, so that was a great game, a great memory, and a great time for my father and I to go to a basketball game together. Just him and I. I'm 13 years old, and yeah, seeing a legendary player like Michael Jordan in my very first ever NBA experience.
Now, Chris, I resent the implication that I would be Googling something while you were telling that story. I was rapt with attention, but I do have to ask, on January 18, 1996, was the basketball stadium just absolutely abuzz with the news that Major League Baseball owners had just unanimously approved interleague play to take place in 1997?
No, I'm just learning now that this is happening.
So those are the two things that happened January 18, 1996. You
That's
got to
wild.
see the Toronto Raptors keep a game close against Michael Jordan, and Major League Baseball's owners approved the interleague play for 1997.
And ending almost 100 years of tradition, but I like it.
Yeah, it's great, right? Like it's great, and it evened out the uneven divisions. Like it's fine. I was living in Richmond, Virginia at the time. I was just graduated from University of Richmond. I was working for WWBT Channel 12 News, answering phones, editing tape for the 6 o'clock news and the 11 o'clock news. And the big story in Richmond, Virginia at that time was that we were recovering from one of our biggest blizzards ever in Richmond. And I remember feeling like people in Richmond did not know how to drive in the snow. I was driving a little Saturn SC2 two-door coupe, and I was still managing my way through the snow better than the locals in Richmond, Virginia were. So that was...
You were driving that little Saturn to the Renegades game.
I was driving to the Renegades game. What I was really doing was driving to work, where all of the other videotape editors, and yes, it was videotape, all of the other videotape editors were calling in sick because they couldn't drive in the snow. So I was doing the work of 3 people and still getting paid $6.25 an hour.
Amazing. Which 1 hour of work for you would have paid for one of my basketball tickets that day. So
Wow. Chris, this is such a great segment. I love this segment. That's a lot of fun. This segment is the reason that we did not have time to talk about the Bridgeport Islanders. But next week, like we said, Chris, this has been a lot of fun. A lot going on for we're recording on a Tuesday. We'll drop on a Wednesday in the middle of May, end of May.
End of May. Well, you know what? Summer's here. That's
Summer
all
is
that
here.
matters.
Thank goodness. Is Memorial Day in the U.S. like a thing in Canada? No, I realize you don't celebrate it, but like, is it a de facto beginning of summer moment, or do you guys have something different?
We have something different because this was just a normal Monday for us. Like everyone went to school and everyone went to work. It was no big deal. It was why are people wearing poppies day in baseball? Our version of Memorial Day in terms of opening up the summer is Victoria Day in celebration of Queen Victoria and her birthday. And that is the Monday prior to Memorial Day. So we already did ours.
Oh, so your summer began unofficially during our Armed Forces weekend.
That's right. Armed Forces weekend and Queen Victoria Day go hand in hand, as I guess they should.
Chris, I'm learning so much about so many things by doing this podcast with you. Episode 13 in the books. We did it.
We did it. I don't know what we're going to do next. Maybe episode 14. We'll see. Well, hey, before we go, I got one last nickname for you, Paul.
Oh.
Podcast Paul Caputo.
I'll take it. I love it. Podcast Paul Caputo. I am changing all of my social medias right now.
Trademark. I got that.
Darn it. Chris, we'll see you next week.
Yes, Paul, we'll see all of you next week as well. And please put your questions in on our YouTube so we have something, we want to talk about you. So
make some comments, put some questions in.
Yeah.
We'll talk
We'll
about
try
it
to
next
pronounce
week.
your names on here and everything. It'll be fun.
And if we can't pronounce your name, I should have said it when you were trying to pronounce that name and you said it's just a bunch of letters. There's a great nickname in minor league baseball. There's a player whose nickname is just the password because his name is just a bunch of consonants.
Perfect.
The password.
Thank you to the password for your comment this week and telling us all about Lance Comte. Gypsy scores. Lance Comte. All right, Paul, you have a good week.
All right, see you, Chris. I'm off to the food truck rally.
Oh, I'm jealous.